Welcome to the Emotional Support Penguins podcast with Joel
and Amanda.
And we are here to offer encouragement for your week because sometimes
you just need to stop, drop, and waddle on out to reset your day.
So, hey, welcome back to episode 2 of Emotional Support Penguins. Thank you for the support and the love on the first episode.
Yeah, you guys were amazing. You really came out and showed a lot of love and support on that. So we really appreciate it.
And it's been fun seeing people pop into the stream and say, when's the next episode coming out? We've been waiting. Yeah. Unfortunately, our household got hit with the stomach plague. Myself and my son got it.
Yeah.
Manda got through unscathed. It's that mom power. But I was down and out.
The ship couldn't go down, guys.
And we were definitely struggling. So yeah. Happy to be back healthy and recording here on the weekend here for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sometimes, you know, you get on your phone, you're scrolling. It's a little bit of a doom scrolling. You're just going, and it's not really worth it, but it's going for forever. But other days, there's some positivity that you get when you're scrolling on
you might actually find something that's, useful, makes you feel good, rather than just the blink-eyed watching 1,000 videos of cats or dogs. Or
you should see our our message feed of TikToks and Instagrams late at night when we're getting ready to fall asleep and we're just sending out videos to each other. There's some gold in there.
There's some really good ones.
But recently, you came across an Instagram post from a therapy place called Find Your Shine Therapy. Tell me a little bit about that.
So this one really resonated with me. I actually screenshotted it, and it wasn't even, I didn't screenshot it even in terms for the podcast. I just screenshotted it because I do that for things for just for me. My screenshots are full of uplifting things or quotes that I really like that sit with me well. And this one I really loved because it was something that I had actually sat down and I wrote it down for myself a long time ago, and I called it "Both Things Can Be True."
Yeah.
But what did they say? Or both can be true, and they say things that can be equally true.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just things, and I know it's things that we all think about, things that we all go through, that you feel one way, but you can also at the same exact time feel the complete opposite way about that same thing,
right.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah, and it's this idea that sometimes we lie to ourselves and say if we're doing this, we can't be anything else. We just have to be that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we really hold ourselves in this perpetual pain or perpetual hurt, and then it keeps us stuck in a rut. And so this is a way that we can feel something for what it is, for the pain, the hurt, the agony that it is, but still move forward and still do amazing things.
Yeah.
And so this is just a little bit of encouragement. We can post the link below as well if you want to see it. But we wanted to have some encouragement for you. You might be stuck in one of these situations, and it's okay to feel those things, but we can move forward.
And your situation might not. Obviously we can't cover them all. We won't be listing them all. But think about things like this. If you are feeling a certain kind of way and you feel that kind of battle between both opposite ends of the spectrum there. Everyone does it, and I feel like that is life, and that is how you learn to deal with things and accept things. And but you want to do the first one?
Sure. The first one says you are resilient, but you need a break.
Exactly.
And I think that's really, really good. I would say this is a really good from Manda because she's so strong and can mentally and physically push through.
I'm a power thrower.
Yeah, but then sometimes it's okay. You just need a break. And
look, I'm getting teary-eyed, you guys. If you haven't known this about me, I'm a crier.
Yeah.
And after we had our baby, I'm 10 times worse, which I thought pregnancy was bad, and then it would go away. It's a lie. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
It's true for both of us because this happens to me too, where I'll work and do things until my body physically just shuts down and I'm sick for 3 days, really bad, where I don't understand, it's okay to go for a bit and then take a break. It's okay for it to go. And so we can be resilient and need a break. And it's finding that balance in life where how do you figure out the work-life balance and then you add in...
We should have brought tissues. Like the actual tear. It won't
we
go
might need
away.
to pause the... might need to pause and grab a tissue.
No, okay.
But the idea that we really need that time where we can figure out that balance between resiliency and, you can be that strong person that you are, but still need a break from time to time, and that's huge, especially like we said for moms that they don't want to be seen as weak. I mean, I hate the posts like on Instagram, like if you see a mom like taking a break, or no, I'm saying you see a mom taking a break and they're like, oh, you should be working with your kids, you're being lazy, and I'm like, no, thank you for taking a break for yourself. Like that's so good. Like we try to build stuff in here in our household, dance on Mondays, like other stuff where you're out of the house, you're just away from him because he's a clingy dude. He's a very loving guy.
Stage 5 clinger.
And mama needs a break.
And
I see that, and we try to figure out ways that we can balance that together.
The next one actually kind of rolls right into it really great. You gave your all. And you need to back out. Like sometimes you start a project, sometimes you're doing something and you have put everything you've got into it and you get to a point where you just don't have any more. And that's okay. Like you can stop. It's not something. Now, and I'm not saying just like quit everything you get halfway through, but if you
gave my all.
But if you really feel like you've gotten to a point where you've really put everything you can into it and you just... that's all you have to give, then that's all you have to give. And it's okay to give yourself that like permission to not have to keep going if you can't.
I love that. I mean, oh man, I think we so get down people for taking a step back, and we just want to see them explode in a ball of fury. Like,
and keep pushing
you
and
just
go.
keep pull yourself up at the bootstraps, keep pushing. And that's one of the reasons, especially for men, why we have such mental health problems, because
explosive
and this goes into the
personality.
second one, the next one that we're going to do, the third one, is that you're independent and you can still need others. So with men, like a lot of times we're like, oh, we got this, we don't need anything else. But like it's okay to be independent, like you can do things for yourself but still need others.
And that's true for women as well. Like, I think because we're, stereotyped into a lot of the time being like the weaker person in a relationship or whatever you're doing, that we're like, okay, it's fine. I can do this all by myself. I don't need help. I don't need anybody else to help me or to help pull me through. I can do this. And I think just as humans, we are meant to be together. We are meant to have other people. No man is an island. And like we're social beings. And as much as sometimes we want to hermit into the house and just eat, snacks and not be, but we need to be with people. Like it's so refreshing. It's life-giving for sure. Absolutely. So the next one we got on there was you were sure, and then things changed. And that is so, so true. And I'm actually, there's another one that says you did your best and now you know more. And I think those are very intertwined.
Yeah, those are so closely.
So like you can always learn. You can always learn more, and you can be so sure about something, so very convicted in what you think is right. And then you can learn something else and realize that your thoughts and what you thought were not true. And rather than feeling miserable, feeling embarrassed, and just pretending like you didn't learn anything new and standing by your first thought and double down on it, it's okay to admit that,
Well, it's like 18 to 20 or 22-year-old me. Like, I thought I had things figured out. I was so focused. I knew what I wanted. You had this ideal of, I've got everything figured out. Like, this is great. I already figured it out at 18. Now I can just live the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And it's okay when new information is presented to you, maybe an uncle or a family member, or like you go to college and you get more world experience, or you travel to another country and you're like, wow, your perspective changes that you've only had in a small town, or only had in like your one perspective of life, or a new job, whatever it is. And you're like, wow, I see, love or faith or this or something else vastly different. And it doesn't mean you completely change your whole outlook, but there are parts that would be different.
Right.
And that's okay. Like, I think people get so focused on doubling down on like, no, this is what I believe, or this is what I think about this subject, and nothing's ever going to change me.
I think the most black and white one, and I'm not a sports gal, so like, don't come for me, but is like when people are like, I'm just going to pick one. I'm a Cowboys fan. And then somebody else, Cowboys win the Super Bowl, and then somebody else is like, I'm a Cowboys fan, and they're like, you're just jumping on the bandwagon. You didn't like them. Like, things change, and that's okay. And accept people for how they're changing and how they're evolving and how they're learning and just moving forward with life. It's so important.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we can have this cancel culture, and there's good or bad, whatever, your opinion on that. But people will be like, oh, well, they said this, so they can't do this now. Well, yeah, that was 10 years ago when I had this perspective on life.
Right.
And so now that whatever the idea is, we're not going to get political or anything, but like there's a huge wide range of things that they can change their mind on. And it's like, it's okay, like good. Hey, they learned. Yeah. And hopefully you're in a positive trend, like that was maybe a narrow mindset before, and now you're learning and you're expanding. Right. So those two are hugely intertwined. Oh, this is good.
Good one.
You are kind, but you have boundaries. Listen to that. Yeah. You are kind, but you should have boundaries.
That was one of my biggest struggles, I would say, like 5 to 10 years ago. I'm known for being like the perky, happy, like you can come to me. Like that's why I really wanted to do this podcast and connect with people. But when I was in therapy, that was one of the things. Like my therapist was like, girl, set some boundaries. If you've ever felt like you've said the phrase like, I feel like a doormat, you don't have boundaries. And that's like one of the biggest things. You should never ever feel like you're getting walked on or taking advantage of. It means you're not. And I just wasn't brave enough to set that boundary. I didn't want to hurt feelings. I didn't want to have judgments, and so boundaries were hard.
Yeah, we're both people pleasers, and most of my life. There's a really hard wind going, gust. And he was like, what happened? We are both people pleasers, and we both want to say yes to everything because we like to help people.
Absolutely.
And we are naturally giving, and we naturally want to help others. And especially now having a kid, I hate to say it's an excuse, but it's like, oh, I gotta check on our baby. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a healthy boundary for me, not using Ro as a scapegoat here, but it's a good healthy boundary to say like, hey, let me make sure my family is good first, and make sure that I'm healthy and emotionally and physically well, and then I'm able to give there, because if we aren't emotionally, spiritually, mentally strong, then we're hurting other people by giving ourselves, because we're giving a weak version of ourselves, and we're spreading way too thin. And then at home, Ro's getting less of us, I'm getting less of you, you're getting less of me.
Right.
And so then no one's getting 100% of the support penguins. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So the boundaries are huge.
Yes.
And when you start to learn the power of no, like you're saying, when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. And so by saying no, you're saying yes to yourself, and you're able to then get an opportunity to grow.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So the last one is a very, very big one. How's it? Others have it worse, and your pain is valid. And that's one that like we get stuck in that comparison, right? Where like, oh, I had this happen to me, and it, I'm really upset about it, but then I'm not going to talk to you about it because you also had something that happened to you. And in my perception, it seems worse than mine. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about it because yours is bigger. Yeah. And so it makes mine small. And that's not how it should be looked at.
And that's how I've talked to specifically people that said, oh, I don't want to go to therapy. Like my life's not that hard.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. And they're like, but they're mentally and physically struggling and really hurting, and they don't find a way to get through it. And I'm like, no, your opinion matters. Your feelings are valid. And so know that like what you're going through, it might seem, like it's not a huge deal to one person, but if it's a big deal to you, then it matters.
Then it's a big deal.
And
that's all that matters.
Yeah, and we need to know that like everyone's going through something. Everyone in this world is going through something, and we all have levels. And you might have someone that is a Zen person that is going through the worst problem, but still able to persevere and be fine every day, and then someone that just has minor inconveniences and it's wrecking their whole week.
Right.
But it's still valid that we're dealing with these things, and then the more that we're gaining perspective and then dealing with those things, going to therapy, then some of those things can get into perspective, and maybe we have more gratefulness like we talked about last week, and then able to deal with those better.
Yeah.
But like, man, we need to process those things, and those are valid.
I saw a thing, and I don't remember the exact wording. I really wish I did, but it was about it's about your pain. So basically, say your house is on fire, and that is representation like of your pain. You wouldn't go outside and be like, well, last week down the street, their house burned all the way to the ground. It's just my roof on fire right now. I'm not going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
You put it out, and that's very representational of your pain might, in comparison to theirs, seem small, but it's still something that is real and needs to be dealt with and looked at. It's not just because it's smaller than someone else's.
Right.
It's still very valid. It's valid.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we have 2 bonus ones.
Yeah, we came up with 2 for we just a
Throw
little
in
spice.
some extra bonus ones in here. One is that you can have a deep grief in your life, and you're grieving something, but you're able to then still move forward. And sometimes I think that when we're dealing with something, whether it be a relationship, a passing of someone, or something that we have a deep grief for, because grief can be a huge thing. We can have a whole nother podcast on grief, because some people think it's only when someone passes, but grief can be huge.
Yeah.
And you can have grief in your life, but you can still move forward.
Right.
And so, because sometimes we get caught in this grief where we're just downward spiraling for months, years, wherever, and you're either moving backwards or just stuck in the same spot.
Yeah.
And so, like, we wanted to talk about that idea, like, it's okay to move forward. Obviously, there's a grieving period that there might be a time where you're not.
And there are some people that are the opposite end of it, where they're grieving, but they're like, I can't show that I'm grieving. I just have to move forward. And so they trample it down. But grief is very much, I love the box with a button and a ball bouncing. The grief is always there at the ball, but like it gets a little smaller. And so sometimes it hits the button a lot at first as it's bouncing, but as it gets smaller, it only hits the button once in a while.
Yeah.
So it comes in waves, it comes in rushes. I don't think it's ever something you fully move on from. You just kind of keep going in life, keep finding things you're appreciative for, and keep moving.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last one we decided to add a little of our own personal experience in is loving parenthood, but also missing your freedom. Yeah. So right now we're able to do this podcast because my mom has Ronan.
Yay for grandmas.
Yay for grandmas. Like our moms are the best. Yeah. But that's something that's huge. And I think that parents probably face this more than they're willing to admit. Like you can love these squishy little babies and your kids and your teenagers. You can absolutely love them, love having them around. Yeah. But you can also miss the life that you had prior to that, where you slept in when you wanted to sleep in. And, if you wanted to, on a spur of a whim of a moment, go run to somewhere, you could do that. And you didn't really have to plan as much or, deal with nap times or making sure food was made. I made a comment on Facebook that blew up the other day because someone made food, this beautiful meal. And I said, I don't love to cook. I can cook. I do cook. Like we're okay, but I don't love it. Like it's not my favorite thing. I would never want to be a chef. And I said, man, I do miss the days where I could just be, what did I say? I could be irresponsible and just not cook or feed either one of us, and everything was fine. Like I could just be like, nope, I'm just not cooking today. Good luck. Like search the cabinets.
Frozen pizza
It is. But now with Ronan, I'm a lot more thoughtful about what I make because I want to make sure that he's getting healthy foods and is able to grow and stuff.
Yeah, and so with this parenthood and missing freedom, it's helped us be more intentional with our freedoms.
Exactly.
And so, like we said, with Mondays being dance nights and like trying to build in nights of the week that we have a little bit of freedom, that we can help each other out with that.
Yeah.
And then, like once a month or every other month, whatever, have times worth overnights so that we can have time for date time and be able to stream like we did, stream date night last night, which is fun.
It was really fun.
So those types of things where, there it is. But there's duality in who we are.
Yeah.
And with this, you can be this and you can also be this. Just know, like, each and every one of us go through seasons in life and these things. And, like, it's okay to be one thing and still have another part of you. So we just wanted to offer that encouragement. You might be going through one of those situations right now.
Or you might have one of your own that you're thinking right now, like, oh, this is so true. I do feel both of these ways about this one thing.
But yeah, we want to encourage that process in life and to be a little bit, loving to yourself in that.
You are not alone in any of these ways that you are feeling. I promise somebody right now, at the exact same moment as you, is feeling this way.
Yeah. So you are loved. You matter so much.
And you have so much value.
All right. We'll see you all later. Thank you.
Guys. Thanks.